How's it going, guys? So I'm here with a review of Become the Hunter by one of my favorite bands, Suicide Silence. So I want you to go back, take a look at my review of the self-titled album that was released approximately 3 years ago in 2017. Not quite 3 years, but it's just about there, more or less. This album was very unpopular amongst a lot of fans, and Suicide Silence fans, metalheads, people that like deathcore music and all types of metal music. Suicide Silence is a big name. Now, before they even put out that album, they were always a controversial band. Deathcore is like metalcore, and metalcore is sort of like the emo of metal. It's very controversial. It's, a style that can, that has hardcore punk elements, but really at the end of the day, it is metal. And I've done numerous videos on this in the past, either through an album review, and mostly you go back and you look at my video, Metalheads Suck. This was a video where I was very happy that a lot of people understood my point in the video and just didn't take the name of the video to heart. A lot of people actually genuinely watched it and understood what I was trying to say, amongst the varying opinions. And it's great to have a lot of different opinions, but when you've got people condemning other people on the internet because they like a certain type of music, or they like a band, or they like an effort that a band made on a certain album, you shouldn't be ridiculing it heavily. It's okay to, if you want to say, oh, everyone who likes this is, is an idiot, but not really go crazy about it and start ranting and raving. But no, there's a lot of people who make videos, write articles, trying to really make people feel bad about the music that they enjoy. And that's really wrong, because, who are you to say what someone should like and shouldn't like? That's not just music. It comes to movies. It comes to politics. Who are you to say that, this person, is a certain way because they like something? Okay, they might be misled and everything, but, we're going ahead and condemning everybody. Okay, so what I'm referring to here is that self-titled album, and Suicide Silence as a whole. Even before they put that album out, a lot of people hated them, and I really mean hated them. And it was something that, kept me away from the band for a little bit. It was the same thing like Asking Alexandria. I'll never forget, I was dreading hearing them, here in New York. They were playing out on Long Island in Jones Beach, 2014. It was Avenged Sevenfold and Korn, and I was like, oh, Asking Alexandria, I don't want to hear this band. Oh, they're supposed to be that really dweeby, wimpy band. And then I heard them, and I'll never forget hearing Danny Warsnob's voice. And I was like, wow, this is a band that I need to be listening to. I was like, how can people really hate this so much and make like anyone who likes it isn't a true metalhead? I was like, okay, yeah, this is metalcore music, but we shouldn't, tell people that they're not good metalheads. At what point is someone, a bad fan of a certain type of music because they like a certain band you don't? Anyway, but let's get to the meat of this. So, Suicide Silence did something that a lot of fans don't like. So now we're talking about the people who do enjoy them, who do genuinely enjoy their music. They liked what Mitch Luckner put forth, and and the things that Eddie had put out. Those, that was good material too. That's actually my favorite album, is You Can't Stop Me. I liked when they switched over and kind of took the metalcore almost, the deathcore into almost a metalcore type sound. A lot of people didn't like it, but if you listen to the Black Crown album, Mitch was taking the band in that direction. So Eddie was really just doing what Mitch would have done anyway had he not unfortunately passed away. But, Eddie, being the leader of the band, the other band members as well, said, you know what, it's time to experiment a little bit. Let's try doing a different kind of music. So they pretty much scrapped all the deathcore elements, and kind of do a new metal Korn style album, slow it down a little bit, and really emphasize the moodiness. And for the most part, it did not work. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen to the album again, especially now that Become the Hunter has been released. And I'm going to be saying some very positive things because I very much enjoyed the album. I think it's a tremendous comeback. I'm going to go back and listen to the self-titled album again and give it a try. There's been many albums that I've gone back and listened to a second time, and my ears have been delighted. It is really crazy. You know how they say, like, you kind of have to learn to love something? I've always thought that that's BS, because you should know from the minute that you hear something. But there's been many a time when I went back and I've listened to an album after not really caring for it the first time, and then my ears have kind of like settled in, and they're kind of like ready to process it. Because when you're taking in something for the first time, things go over your head. You're not really expecting them, but you look a little bit closer, you listen a little bit deeper, and you hear things that you didn't hear before. So I'm gonna, who knows, maybe I'll really enjoy it the second time. Maybe I might even dislike it even more. Maybe I'll hold the same opinion on it. I don't really know, but we'll find out. Anyway, people really took it to Suicide Silence, and I gotta say, the band handled it extremely well. They really did. They did not take it to heart. They did not attack their fans or anything. In fact, they actually got on YouTube and they they read the comments for the music video on Doris, which a lot of people did not like. I actually thought it was a really good song, but there was one little vocal part in that song that a lot of people were making fun of, and it did sound a little bit odd, the first time you listened to it. But people made it funny. I'll admit, there were many people on YouTube, many metal YouTubers, popular ones, were making fun of the song, and it was, it was in good jest. But a lot of people were really like, this kind of reminded me of the Metallica fans. This reminded me of the fans of In Flames, that when these bands switched their styles, people lost their minds. They went totally insane, started cursing the band's name, cursing the band itself, and basically writing them off as horrible bands because they dared change their sound. So, experimentation is always something that's a part of music. If you're an artist and you're not willing to experiment, are you really that much of an artist? Because an artist is open-minded. They like to branch out. They like to try new things. Why would someone want their favorite artist to keep on doing the same thing over and over again and hear the same type of album? Now, I get it, stylistically. Truly, I do understand. And that was the thing with Suicide Silence, the self-titled album. I would have rather they stayed where they were with You Can't Stop Me and The Black Crown, or go back to the previous albums. They could have even went back to The Cleansing. They could have went back to the previous albums and did those kinds of stylistic changes. They could have went back to that and built off of that and maybe changed it a little bit, but it was too drastic of a change and just kind of didn't work, from what I remember. But anyway, Becoming the Hunter, it's so good that it's actually heavier than both You Can't Stop Me and The Black Crown. I feel like the riffs are heavier. I feel like the vocals are definitely more distorted. On The Black Crown and You Can't Stop Me, you got to admit that the two lead vocalists were pretty intelligible on there. which is not a very common theme for deathcore. You know, it's usually lyrics that you can't, you know, if you're not into that sort of music, you're probably not going to understand. You'd be like, okay, well, if you can't understand what they're saying, then why even enjoy it? But, you know, I like that they cleaned it up on those albums, but like they went back to the style where it's unintelligible again. Now there's little moments of You Can't Stop Me in the Black Crown, but I feel like there's way more moments from previous albums on here. You know, like No Time to Bleed. It's not quite as heavy as No Time to Bleed, I will say that, and it's definitely not as heavy as The Cleansing, but it is, I'd say it's definitely in between The Black Crown and No Time to Bleed. Would you agree with that? Let me know in the comments, because I think that is probably an accurate way of describing it. It definitely feels like it's coming out of your speakers more. I feel like, you know, Eddie is more vicious on this one. It feels like he's, you know, definitely attacking the vocals at a greater pace. And that's not to say that he's putting in a better effort than he did on You Can't Stop Me, but it's definitely like a great comeback, because after him mellowing out, I think that's the thing really, I think what probably got to most people is just, you know, I think most people were pretty happy with the way how, you know, Eddie handled things, because I think a lot of people enjoyed All Shall Perish. It's a good band, and that's where Eddie comes from. So he comes from another deathcore band, so it was a pretty easy transition. Now he was going into a way more popular band, you know, mind you, but I think that he really fit in. Like, if you listen to those two albums back to back, The Black Crown and You Can't Stop Me, it's almost seamless. It's kind of like you could almost, you know, from an audio sense, kind of even hear Mitch Luckner passing the baton to Eddie, and, you know, he just runs with it, like, from, you know, from that album. And then, you know, it felt like a brick wall kind of listening to that last album. And I remember, like, the worst thing is, like, this, I remember it's not that it was, like, painfully bad, like, it was just a boring album. That's what it was. It just felt very slow, sluggish, and it felt like a chore to listen to, and that's never good. But like I said, I've had previous listening experiences when I went back, and it's a joy, and it's no longer a chore. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, to tell you directly and more specifically what's so great besides the vocals is there's just so many great you know, instances on this album. Like, okay, it opens up with an intro track, and then you get your the second track is the first full-length song on the album, and that's Two Steps. Now, we heard the first 4 songs on this album. I believe that's what it was, and I thought, like, at first it was an EP. I don't know, this was very sudden. I had been, like, following, I constantly sometimes put into Google, like, you know, the band's name, and I try to, like, you know, see what if Limp Bizkit's finally gonna release their next album, and, you know, you know, and hear about the 10th rewrite that they're doing on it, you know, and hear about Fear Factory, you know, and how they're going to release an album and they're not going to. It's really weird. Like, sometimes certain band members are telling you, oh, the album's done, and then another band member says, oh, well, we didn't start working on it at all. I don't know what he's talking about. And you're always like, what? How could, like, one band member say an album's coming out and another one doesn't? So I don't know, this one like flew under the radar. I didn't like type their name in for a few months, and whoa, there was an album on Spotify just out of the clear blue sky. As I went back to listen to You Can't Stop Me again, I saw it on there. Listen, I was like, oh man, they're back. And I kind of figured that they were going to go back this way, because they, you know, really got a lot of backlash and they handled it very well. But I kind of knew that if they stayed the course, it wasn't going to be a smart move, because not only, you know, the knuckleheads in the metal community, but the, you know, the real diehard fans of theirs, you know, the ones that actually go to the shows, buy the tickets, actually buy the albums and everything, and really support the band and buy the t-shirts and all the merchandise, and, you know, they gotta still, you know, keep their fans happy. And plus we always have to remember that metal is not the most, popular form of music in this world and in this country. So it really needs to be supported. It feels very grassroots at times, so you really can't, I get it, you can't really take as many chances as you can, say, if you're like a pop singer or a rapper, because I think they're, fans are more understanding with those changes, of those, those musical genres, because they typically do, better. You're going to get radio play, with metal, it's just not happening. It's just not as popular as those other genres because, you've got other media outlets just that refuse to promote it, or, refuse to hold it in this high regard. I mean, it's not even part of the Grammys on TV, for God's sakes. Not like they need that garbage anyway, but I'm just saying it's harder for a metal band, especially if you're going to be something like deathcore. So they went back to that style. And probably out of all the songs on this album, Feel Alive is my favorite. And then they just, we get some great songs from that point on as well. But, Two Steps kicks it off amazingly. The very next song is Feel Alive, which I say is my personal favorite. I just feel like it's a great heavy riff, great vocals, and then they cap it off with the title track, Becoming the Hunter, and it's, a great outro. So it's just a really good album, a really good comeback for Suicide Silence, and I've been seeing the comments. Many people are saying that this is a good album. They're enjoying it, and they're right. And when you see fans agreeing on how great something is, that makes me very happy, because most of the time it's a huge war. It could be like In Flames, for example, where you've got this section of the fan base that hates them, but they still listen to them even though they haven't been the same way, for how many years. They haven't been the way that those fans want them to be since the 90s, that want them to be melodic death metal. If you don't know about In Flames, go check out some message boards, go check out some YouTube videos. These fans are like the Metallica fans. They're not as good as they used to be, and they'll just keep on saying that for years. Like, how sad is it to be fans of a band and hate them more than people that really hate them and don't like them at all? It's truly, it shows that a lot of times fans could be the worst haters, and that is the case. So if you haven't seen that level of fickleness, go check that out. It's truly hilarious. But I'm happy to see that Suicide Silence fans are on the same page, and they're enjoying this album together, as they should. It's a great effort, and they did a great job. So I definitely recommend that you go check it out. Go look at it on Spotify. If you're into buying the albums, I'm sure the band would truly appreciate you, purchasing it digitally or going out and buying the physical album. So, yeah, guys, there you go. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more music reviews, also, please let me know in the comments. And if you want them, I'll do more of them. And subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.